A few weeks ago, my father, who had been battling illness, passed away. As I reflected on his absence, I couldn't help but express a longing regret. I wish I could have shown him his grandchildren, I murmured with a sigh. I got married 5 years ago at the age of 25, and at my wedding, my father and I made a promise that I would inform him first when I became pregnant. Unfortunately, that promise remained unfulfilled. My only regret concerning my father is related to this unmet promise. Since his illness was discovered a year ago, I did everything within my power to support him. I regularly returned to my parents' home, accompanied my mother to the hospital, increased the frequency of phone calls and video chats. I did everything I could think of. Still, the nagging question persisted. Could I have done more? Sitting beside me, my mother reassured me, "You did well, Chelsea. Your father would be satisfied." However, doubts lingered in my mind. Just then, my sister Portia returned with a lawyer, Samuel, in tow. As he handed me his business card, my sister blurted out about the inheritance, and the atmosphere tensed. The relationship between my sister and me had soured when we learned about our father's illness. Her arrogant attitude and reluctance to visit him strained our bond. Our differing perspectives on priorities and responsibilities led to heated exchanges. Now, in the living room with the lawyer present, my sister revealed that our father had left a substantial inheritance. The tension escalated as my sister assumed it was all for her. I corrected her, causing further discord. Our strained relationship came to the forefront, exacerbated by the news of the inheritance. The lawyer, sensing the tension, intervened, urging us to calm down. Apologies were exchanged, and the lawyer proceeded to discuss the details of our father's will. He explained that a few weeks before his passing, our father had contacted him, and after the funeral, the lawyer reached out to us. The lawyer produced a white envelope containing our father's will. As I verified the handwriting, my sister impatiently urged him to reveal its contents. The lawyer, with a wry smile, opened the envelope, disclosing details of the inheritance: the house, land, savings, and a storage shed. This revelation left us puzzled, especially my sister, who questioned the absence of any mention of a farm. Yes, the farm, a place where Dad used to immerse himself as a hobby. Initially, my father ran a company in the neighboring town, but as he approached 50, the toll of age prompted him to consider closing the business. "I want to take it easy. Is that okay?" He confided in us when I was in high school. My sister, in college at the time, opposed the idea, but my mother and I, concerned about his health, supported the decision. Assured by our savings, my father closed his company and embraced farming near our home. Witnessing his happiness while tending to the land, I was glad we had agreed, but my sister seemed indifferent. She had promised to return home after graduating from college, but she pursued a job near her university and eventually married the CEO of an IT company she met through work. Despite these choices, my father continued farming until he fell ill. Now my sister insisted that the farm should be part of the inheritance. The lawyer reviewed the documents and, upon my sister's request, discovered a note indicating that the farm was rented land. Disappointed, my sister expressed surprise, believing we owned a significant piece of land. Though the farm was spacious, my father had grown vegetables on rented land, possibly a relief considering our lack of farming expertise. As the conversation shifted to dividing the inheritance, the lawyer proposed giving the house and land to the wife, my mother. My sister agreed, and the rest was open for distribution. The lawyer suggested splitting the savings and storage shed, with my sister eagerly claiming the cash. Objecting to her self-centered decision, I protested, emphasizing my role as the oldest daughter. However, my sister dismissed my objections, insisting on taking the cash. An argument ensued, and I found myself defending the shed, which she initially agreed to when we supported my father's vegetable farming endeavor. My sister argued that the shed was insignificant, but I felt it was unfair to let her take all of Dad's inheritance. With my mother's nonchalant approval, my sister ultimately got the cash, and I reluctantly ended up with the seemingly worthless shed. Despite my dissatisfaction, my sister quickly secured a document from me, promising not to complain about the inheritance division. That uneasy settlement left me pondering the priorities of family over money, as my sister's laughter echoed through the room. She laughed heartily, and my frustration overflowed. I couldn't resist venting to my mother. "Mom, why didn't you help me?" "I did help you. You decided with Portia," she responded. "That's not true. I made sure you got the shed." "Huh, I'm not happy about getting that shed." "You might find something surprisingly good if you look closely," my mother said with a smile. I could only puff out my cheeks in response. The next day, armed with the key from the lawyer, I headed to the shed near the field. It was a 10-minute walk from home, along a rural road seldom traversed by anyone else. Finally reaching the field my father had rented, now empty due to his hospitalization, I opened the dusty shed. "It's dusty," I noted. The neglect was evident, likely because no one had cleaned it. Hoping to find something sentimental from Dad, I looked around but discovered nothing special. It was just a dirty shed filled with farming tools, perhaps sentimental but not particularly valuable. Deciding to take what was in sight for now, I mumbled as I looked around. That's when I noticed something odd. The shed seemed smaller from the inside than it appeared from the outside. The dim light made the interior feel a bit cramped. Perplexed, I stepped outside, but the feeling persisted. Walking around to the back of the shed, I was astonished to find another door there, another entrance, unseen from the inside. My confusion deepened. What's going on? I wondered. A door on the back should be visible from inside, but it wasn't. There had to be a wall in between, creating a space accessible only from the back. Excitement surged within me as I realized this might be Dad's surprise. Remembering how Dad loved surprises, especially on birthdays, I found myself tearing up at the thought. Returning inside, I searched for the back door key with a gut feeling that Dad had hidden it. After a while, I found 2 keys concealed in the handle of a shovel. I went around to the back and, with one of the keys, opened the door. To my delight, the cramped space revealed a large safe. Memories flooded back as I recognized it from Dad's office when I was a child. Nostalgic, I hugged the safe, feeling fulfilled with this tangible memory of my father. But Dad being Dad, I suspected there was more to come. Inserting the second key into the slightly rusty safe, it creaked open. My astonishment deepened as I saw that unexpected contents, a true inheritance that left me stunned. Overwhelmed, I locked the safe and rushed to my mother. After explaining the situation, I called my husband, and together we moved the safe from my parents' house. Realization struck. I might need to pay inheritance tax if these valuable contents were part of my inheritance, including the shed. Determined to handle it properly, I sought advice from a certified public accountant referred by a friend. A year passed in this manner, just when I thought things had settled down. My sister unexpectedly showed up near my home. Curious, I inquired about her sudden visit, and her behavior seemed peculiar. No matter how you look at it, even though my home is close to our parents, it's still a 20-minute drive. We aren't the kind of sisters who casually visit, especially after the tension of our dad's inheritance. It's not a relationship that comes into play carelessly. As I looked at her, suspicion lingered. Meanwhile, my sister, acting a bit nervous, asked, "Can I come in?" "Sure, but what's the matter?" I inquired. "I have something to talk about," she said, forcing a smile. Reluctantly, I let my sister into the house. After serving some coffee, she started to fidget and then began to speak. "So, did you win the lottery or something?" "What? No, I didn't." "Then did your husband get a bonus?" I tilted my head, puzzled. I never buy lottery tickets because I'm not interested. My husband, who's a salaried worker, does get a holiday bonus, but it's not that time of year. What on earth are you talking about? Confused, I asked her directly, "Hey, what are you talking about?" Suddenly, my sister got angry. "What are you making fun of me?" "No, what are you talking about? Money? Money. You have it, don't you?" "Money? Yes, I heard about it." My sister began to speak excitedly. It was a story from a few days ago. Living in the city, my sister had run into our aunt by chance. The woman started the conversation like this. "I know how hard it's been for you since you lost your father. Are you doing okay?" "Yes, well, I visited him many times when he was sick. Thank you. But you must be relieved, right? Getting such a big thank you gift. Thank you gift? Yes, your sister sent me a $500 gift card as a thank you for visiting him. A gift card. Needless to say, what caught my sister's attention was the gift card. Hearing that I had sent it, she was convinced I had come into some extra money. You got a windfall, didn't you? Just admit it. My sister interrogated me. Ah, that's what this is about, I sighed. My sister didn't like my attitude and yelled. What's with that attitude? Are you mocking me? No, it was a thank you gift. So where did you get the money for it? That's what I want to know. From the inheritance, remember? Inheritance. Yes, I got the inheritance. So I sent thank you gifts to relatives who had helped us. Upon hearing this, my sister frowned. All you got was that dirty shed. Yes, that's true, but you can't sell that for money. But there was a safe inside it. That's where the real inheritance was. A safe? Real inheritance. I carefully explained to her about the watches in the safe, all valuable, collected by my father as a hobby during his lifetime. However, I didn't know their exact value. On the other hand, the remaining savings were about $100,000. Considering he was a business owner who could retire early, that amount seemed small. This led me to think he might have invested a lot in those watches. If they're valuable, you'll have to pay inheritance tax, my mother had said after seeing the contents of the safe. What should I do, Mom? When I asked, my mother thought for a moment and advised, things like this always come out. You should declare it properly. How? Well, let's ask that lawyer we spoke to recently. So I consulted the lawyer again. I was told that if you inherit valuables, the inheritance tax is determined by their value at that time. I was also told that a certified public accountant could handle it for me. As a result, it was found that the watches alone were worth at least $500,000. With watches this valuable, you'll have to pay inheritance tax. How should I pay it? How about keeping the ones you're emotionally attached to and selling the rest? Certainly, it doesn't make sense to me, who doesn't know the value of holding on to such expensive watches. With that thought, I decided to sell some of the watches. I used the money from the sale to pay the inheritance tax and sent thank you gifts to the relatives who had helped us. Those thank you gifts were the gift cards my sister was talking about. By the way, what I kept were items like the pocket watch my father often wore. I showed my sister the pocket watch as I told her this story. This one isn't expensive, but it holds the most memories for me. However, my sister frowned upon hearing my story. What? You don't have any left? No, there are still some in the safe. Where's the safe? It's at Mom's. The safe is too big for this house. It's the one Dad used at his company. My sister looked away, seeming deep in thought. I felt uneasy seeing her like this, but right after that, she stood up and said, I'm leaving, now that I know where the money came from, and left. Considering how money-minded my sister is, I thought she might demand some of the money from the watch sales. I was relieved she left without making a fuss. However, in my relief, I forgot the unease I had felt earlier. My sister isn't that understanding. I had forgotten that, and I was reminded of this late that night when I got a call from my mother. Chelsea, it's urgent. Come over right away. What happened, Mom? It's just really bad. My mother was frantic and unclear. My husband and I rushed to my mother's house. As we approached, we noticed something strange. The area around my parents' house was lit up in red. What's going on? The reason became clear as we got closer. Several police cars were parked outside my parents' house. I pushed through the crowd and called out to my mother. What happened, Mom? Well, Chelsea, you see. According to my mother, after 9 p.m., feeling tired, she'd gone to bed already. Soon after, she heard strange noises. Sounds like someone searching for something came from beyond the door. Oh, it's a burglar. That's what my mother thought instantly. However, she was the only one in the house. Feeling helpless, she decided to escape through the window. Looking back, she saw the light of a flashlight moving inside the house. This is definitely a burglar. Convinced, she ran to the neighbor's house and said, "Help, there's a burglar." Hearing this, the neighbor immediately came out. They too saw the swinging light my mother was pointing at and called the police, thinking it was a burglar. However, it wasn't a burglar at all. It was my sister who had sneaked into the house. She had gone to rummage through the safe after hearing my story. Neither my mother nor the neighbor had any way of knowing this. Soon the police arrived, and naturally, my sister was shocked. Realizing she was in trouble, she tried to make a quick escape. Of course, it's her own family home, so there's no need to run. Yet, in her panic, my sister thought she had to escape. In her rush, she bumped into the open door of the safe. Just then, the already unstable safe toppled over, falling right onto her as she tried to flee. So, Portia got trapped under it. Yes, that's what happened. Is she okay? She was taken to the hospital by ambulance, but she keeps saying her leg hurts. What on earth was she thinking? I was truly dumbfounded. Afterward, my mother and I apologized to the police officers who had come to help, feeling bad for calling so late. I also phoned my sister's husband. Wait, you're confirming that Portia broke into her own family home and got injured? Yes, that's correct. What is Portia doing? She doesn't even do housework. I'm Actually, according to my sister's husband, she had racked up a considerable amount of debt. Apparently, she had been spending a lot on random things. We had just found out, and they hadn't found her. In the end, my sister stole out of the house, saying, "I'll borrow it." Turns out, she couldn't use the cash out of Still, she paid for it to left about for us. So, I'm looking forward to giving birth to a healthy baby.